Hey, this is the Shug, and you're listening to the Slam Fam Wrestling Network. Welcome to the family. Bitch!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 73 of Off the Chest of Timothy Regal. I, of course, am your host, the most famous man in pro wrestling in the state of Iowa, Timothy Regal, joined by the leader of the 7-Star Mind Academy, Alex McCarthy. Alex, what's going on? It's a beautiful day outside, and we're inside recording a podcast.
You know, Regal, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I just want to say with great pride that I am in fact the greatest teacher in professional wrestling in the state of Iowa.
You literally are teaching a dog.
I am teaching. Well, I was talking about you, but that is also true. I taught Regal how to plug in the microphone, open up Audacity, and hit the record button today, everybody.
Yes, for this historic occasion here on Off the Chest of Timothy Regal, for the first time ever, Timothy Regal actually hit record on the podcast.
Never done it before. I got to get you ready because there's a big event coming up.
You mean SCW Unbroken?
No.
SCW Genesis with what?
Genesis.
What's the name of the next call show?
You don't even fucking pay attention.
I know Vicky Guerrero's going to be there. I'm really excited about that.
15th anniversary.
I heard there may be cougar hunting going on that weekend. That's all I know.
Oh, God, nobody's going to approve you for a permit to hunt cougar.
There's a website for that too.
I bet there is.
Don't Google it. Don't Google that.
I hope to fuck there aren't any kids listening to this shit.
Alex, like I said, it's a beautiful day outside. We're inside recording a podcast. Alex made me watch Moana. Yes.
What'd you think?
I actually enjoyed the movie. Rock did a pretty good job on that one. Enjoyed the music. It was a good movie.
Absolutely.
I guess it does fall into the realm of talking about it on a wrestling podcast because it had The Rock in it. So
yeah.
But we also the reason.
Did I ever tell you that I had a dream that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote a professional wrestling musical?
That would be amazing.
And most of the wrestlers were playing themselves, but they brought me in to play Kevin Owens.
You were playing Kevin Owens
because he didn't want to sing.
Kevin couldn't sing.
And the security guards didn't realize that I was the guy playing Kevin, since most of the wrestlers were playing themselves, and so they were chasing me around until Lin-Manuel Miranda found me and set the record straight.
Was Seth Rollins playing himself?
I don't remember, Regal. I had this dream a while back.
Can you imagine Seth Rollins singing?
Burn it down. Is that pretty close?
I dreamed that most men try. That was a horrible impression of Seth Rollins. We
probably shouldn't do impressions of him.
Seth Rollins may sing very well. I don't know, actually. I've never heard him. Of all the things I've seen him do, I don't think I've ever heard him sing.
Merrick Brave used to be the lead singer of a band, wasn't he?
For a brief time, yes.
Yeah, maybe he'd play Seth Rollins.
Seth, the only singing I ever saw Seth do was to music that, sounded a lot like, like, that kind of music where you couldn't understand.
I'm sorry, wait, Regal. How did that go again?
That was the kind of music that Seth Rollins used to play on road trips. That's kind of what it sounded. That's usually what it sounded like to me. You can't literally understand anything. It just noise.
All right, Regal. No, I want to do something quick. I want you to entertain me. If there were an SCW Pro musical on Broadway about the uprise of the Black and Brave, who would play who? Who would you want to get to play the main parts?
Like if we're doing a Broadway musical.
A Broadway musical about the Black and the Brave. about Margaret Brave and Seth Rollins' upbringing in professional wrestling.
I don't really know Broadway that well.
A movie.
Oh, okay,
movie. Who are you casting?
Who am I casting in a movie? I'll say... that's really hard. You put me on the spot on this, and I didn't have any time to prep this. Seth Rogen's playing... Or not Seth Rogen. Jonah Hill's playing me.
Okay.
I'll say that. Jonah Hill's playing me.
Why are you having someone so young play you?
Jonah's not that much younger than I am, actually.
Oh, okay.
Jonah's playing me. Zac Efron's playing Seth Rollins.
What? Really?
Yeah. Who's playing Margaret Brave? Man, this is really hard to think about.
Can Danny DeVito play Danny Daniels?
Yes! Danny DeVito is Danny Daniels. They're both about the same height, so...
Wow.
God,
I hope that doesn't ever get back to Danny, but it won't. You know what would really suck, Regal? If someday all of my hard work pays off, and I become super famous in the professional wrestling business, and then people actually come back and listen to this podcast.
Oh, God. Ryan Reynolds is playing Mark Storm.
Oh, wow. Kiss ass.
That's just a pop mark, let's be honest.
Yeah, I know. That's why I called you a kiss ass.
I'm trying to think of who's unbelievably tall that can play Nevin Knoxville.
When you said unbelievably tall, the first person that came into my mind would be horrible to play. Would play Nevin Knoxville, but the first person that came to my mind was Conan O'Brien. But he would be a horrible Nevin Knoxville. But he is really tall.
Conan O'Brien. I'm booking it. Conan O'Brien is playing Nevin Knoxville.
Jesus Christ. Okay, okay. I just want to reiterate that the only reason he came into my head was because he's tall. Who plays?
Who plays Margaret Brave?
I don't. Who plays Stephen Youngblood?
Oh, I know who plays Margaret Brave.
Who?
Eric Christian Olsen from CSI LA.
Oh Jesus! What's his name?
Eric Christian Olsen. He's from Bettendorf, and they literally have the same exact voice. He's been in the movie Fired Up.
I just googled him.
Yeah, he's on NCIS LA.
Why? Okay, can we go back to Zac Efron playing Seth Rollins?
I don't know. It's just the first guy that popped into my head. I was like, "Who is jacked in Hollywood?" I thought of Seth Rollins. For some reason, Zac Efron popped in there.
Do not make Zac Efron grow his hair out and grow a beard.
Margaret, do you want to play this game?
No, because Ryan Reynolds is Mark Storm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with Margaret. Who plays the Shug? There's got to be somebody good to play the Shug.
Oh God, who plays the Shug? Who's the guy from Let's Be Cops that's in Jurassic World?
You can't ask Alex those questions.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get
I can't remember his name.
Let's Be Cops.
Yeah, he's one of the lead guys in Let's Be Cops.
Alex doesn't know celebrity names.
Is it Jake Johnson?
Jake Johnson. Jake Johnson is playing the show because I think he has the sense of the like comedic timing to play.
Oh yeah, he can play the Shug. I can see that.
And he kind of looks like him.
He looks like him enough.
Yeah. So yeah, Jake Johnson from Jurassic World is playing the Shug.
The question is, could we get Alfonso Ribeiro to come play Jah-C?
Yes.
First of all, if you're gonna get anyone, it's gonna be Wayne Brady.
What? Okay.
Wayne Brady is closer to Jah-C than Alfonso.
Are they both
hold to that.
Minnesota or something?
What?
What?
No, I do not know. You know who Wayne Brady is,
Yes,
right?
he was on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes. Granted, they're both too old for the role. But I've been told black doesn't crack. So...
Wow.
What is going on?
Jah-C said it, so...
Yeah, fair enough.
All I'm saying is, Wayne Brady's better match just for his mannerisms than Alfonso.
I don't know that Jah-C would be in this Black and Brave movie.
And Vin Diesel's playing JT Energy.
What?
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 We gotta get a bald guy.
You never... Okay.
Oh,
You guys don't know how fan casting works. Okay, first of all, I say this as someone who loves the Disney movie Atlantis and has watched fucking everyone fan cast Emilia Clarke as Kida because she wears a white blonde wig in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Don't take someone's hair color into effect. That is the easiest shit to change.
Who's gonna play Sean Morrow?
Jesus, I don't know.
Actually, that would be Seth Rogen.
You just said you wanted Seth Rogen to play you.
No, Jonah Hill's playing me.
Oh.
And if Jonah's in the movie,
Okay,
Seth's
you
got to
do
be in the
realize
movie.
Jonah isn't anywhere close to your size anymore, right?
Well,
he lost like a shit ton of weight and has like bright pink hair now.
Yeah, I know, but I always said if I make a biopic of myself, Jonah Hill's playing me.
Well, you know who's
but
playing...
you probably said that when he was heavier.
Well, yeah, he was fat back then. But
You know who's gonna play me?
Who?
Jack Black.
I could actually.
I mean...
That makes sense. That makes
Wait,
sense.
why are you in the... wait, is this a Black and Brave movie or an SCW movie?
I don't know.
Because you're also casting, like...
This segment went off the rails.
Well, I can see Mark
Oh, okay.
Storm and Nevin Knoxville being, like, in the preview build-up segment, but... What would we be in for?
Who plays Stephen Youngblood?
Oh, I had somebody and I don't remember now.
Who plays the King?
You really should have thought about this beforehand.
Yeah,
It was a random idea. We were talking about wrestling movies.
Weren't you going to talk about something else entirely?
No, we're talking about... Okay, this week's theme for our episode is entertainment in wrestling. We talked about Moana. We're going to talk about Glow in the second half of the
Glow
episode.
season 2 coming
Glow
up.
season 2.
Should we should probably talk, a really quiet weekend on the local scene, unfortunately.
Nothing.
Yes. Well, there was something last night, but we didn't go.
Where?
PGP.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
But
no, literally, as far as Iowa and our side of Illinois, there literally wasn't anything. But we both watched the Ring of Honor pay-per-view just for not together. You and Margaret watched it, and then I watched it later.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show. There's really only one bad match, honestly, in my opinion. It was the 8-woman tag. And honestly, it was... I hate to bury anybody, but... Like, every time Kelly Klein was in the ring, it seemed like she messed something up. Like, I thought everybody else in that match was at least passable.
Well, passable. They brought in women from Stardom.
Right, I said at least. But there was like a rookie girl in there that was like 19, and she wasn't really messing anything up. But every time Kelly Klein was in the ring, and the first time it got messed up, it was Kelly Klein and that Jenny Rose.
Jenny Rose.
And it was her and Jenny Rose, and I was like, oh, maybe Jenny Rose screwed up. But then she like screwed something up with like Tennille or one of the Stardom girls, and I was like, okay.
Jenny, that.
So
I guess
chat me up on Kelly Klein.
We'll start there. Kelly Klein. I mean, I actually saw her years ago when she was still going by Mary Elizabeth Monroe.
Okay. I mean, that's a name I recognize, but
yeah,
and maybe I just caught her on an off night, and honestly, eight people tags or clusterfucks. So maybe I need to give her the benefit of the doubt, but everything that I picked up on that got messed up in that match involved her.
Part of the thing is she's one of the few women that Ring of Honor pretty much has on every show, and there are reasons for that.
They were definitely billing her as the veteran.
Well, her whole gimmick is she's the gatekeeper of the Women of Honor division.
Yeah. That might be why the Women of Honor division is so suckish.
I'll straight up say it. Part of the reason is I believe they may be married at this point, but she is significant other to BJ Whitmer.
Okay.
I mean, as far as indie promotions go, major indie promotions, Ring of Honor's women division is shit. I was actually surprised they got to Neil Dashwood because I honestly did not.
Well, to me, that is a sign that they want to. And now if they have a relationship with Stardom, it's a step in the right direction.
But let's be honest, when WWE brought in all of those Japanese girls for their women's match for the Survival Series, it was because their women's division sucked.
Right. I know.
When in doubt, bring in Japanese girls.
The one that I really love in this match is Maya Iwatani. She is, if you ever watch any of her Stardom stuff, she is amazing.
I've only seen a little bit.
I mean, part of my problem was that it was an 8-man tag, and
8-women tag.
Yes, thank you. 8. Fuck, now you got me all flustered. Part of the problem for me was this 8-woman tag, And the other problem was it was my first time seeing over half of those women, so I hate to admit this, but I couldn't really keep the Japanese women straight. I didn't know which. I knew which one was Sumi Sakai.
In Alex's defense, he sucks telling the difference between people of any ethnicity. I've watched him mix up straight, white guys before.
What does being straight have to do with it?
I'm just saying that it's not like I don't want you to sound like, oh, all Asian people look alike. He does that shit with everyone of every ethnicity. He just can't tell people apart.
No, and part of the thing is that women's match. I think if they would have cut a couple minutes off of it, I think it would have been better. It got long.
But at the same time, you've got eight people in a match
to get their stuff. 8 women that have to get their stuff in.
Right, 8 women that are trying to get over. That are trying to give an opportunity.
Well, and the Stardom girls were probably used to the bigger matches because I watched a few of Stardom, I watched a little bit, and it's very prototypical Japanese style in which everything's a multi-man match.
Yeah,
multi-woman match. Everything is 3-on-3 or whatever.
The idea in Japanese culture is that singles matches are earned. If you're in a singles match, it's either for a title or it's the culmination of a big
people that don't legitimately want to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
The only problem is I don't want Ring of Honor relying on Stardom. I don't want them being like, we'll just bring in more Stardom girls. They need to be growing some talent at home.
That's Ring of Honor's problem in general, in my opinion.
Well, even on this pay-per-view, you're still propped up slightly by New Japan. Not as much
slightly? They were pretty much propped
only
up.
2 matches, really.
I was talking about the women's match.
Oh, well...
I'm talking about the women's match in general. They need to grow their own female talent, because with Tennille Dashwood, they're...
My argument is they need to produce their own talent in general, because look at how many shows New Japan is running in the United States now.
Well, and they brought in, like for the Women of Honor, they've brought in Holodead.
I do like Holodead.
They've brought in...
They've used Stacey Shadows before. Are they not using her anymore?
Well, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll bring in, especially with some of the just touring shows, they'll bring in women in that part of the country that'll drive in.
Yeah.
So when they did Texas, Holodead was on the show because...
But here's the thing, you've got a major, they're still an indie, but they're a huge fucking indie, acting like a small indie.
They're owned by a multi-billion-dollar
corporation. Fine, but here's the point, they're acting like a small town indie that only ever has the same 3 women come in that can drive in.
And they
also
also
they should be doing better.
Keep in mind they also just lost Deonna Purrazzo. Whether I like her or not, she was a stalwart for them that just signed with WWE.
But that's my point. If your division is so tiny that the loss of one athlete can be a serious issue, that's a sign that your entire division was struggling to begin with.
But to me, that's a problem with what I've been trying to say is that's not just a Women of Honor problem. That's a Ring of Honor problem.
Well, I mean, let's go back to the first match, because the opening match, we had the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Vinny Marseglia, TK O'Ryan, and Matt Taven.
Yeah.
Taking on Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Yep.
Sonata, Evil, and Bushi.
And I'll admit, I was having a little bit of trouble getting logged into your Honor Club for that match, so I did not catch.
Hey! You're not supposed to say that I gave you my Honor Club login.
Fuck it.
What if Ring of Honor actually listens to this podcast?
Oh, fuck it.
You think Ring of Honor actually listens to this podcast?
They might. I've been at Ring of Honor for many. I was at the first Ring of Honor show in Chicago. They might know who I am. I have friends who work for Ring of Honor.
Don't be that Mark. Don't be that person.
I have friends who work for Ring of Honor.
I've been there since the first match. They should appreciate me.
It's possible they may listen.
What friends do you have that work at Ring of Honor?
The Booker. Haven't seen him in a long time, but
could he pick you out of a lineup?
Well, I'm fat, so probably.
You opened that door.
Anyways, but my point, and this is a reoccurring point that I brought up.
I actually will say this. You'd be surprised how many people in the wrestling business don't see me for years and then still remember me. Let's face it, it's because when someone's this large and bald and looks the way I do, it makes me kind of harder to forget than most normal-sized, average, everyday-looking people. I said it.
What were you saying, Alex?
Can we? No, it's my problem with Ring of Honor in general is, like, how much, like, if all of a sudden, I don't know if they have a contract with New Japan, or if it's a handshake deal, or what their talent sharing relationship is with them, but the day that New Japan decides that, hey, we're running enough shows in stateside ourselves, we don't want people under contract to us working for Ring of Honor anymore. They're fucked.
I don't see that happening for at least years down the road.
Really? Because they're aggressively expanding into the U.S.
Aggressively expanding
they opened up an office. They opened up a dojo.
They're still. Let's look at 2018. They're still only going to run 3 shows in the United States this year.
Okay, but I'm saying in 2 years, Ring of Honor needs a plan to make their own fucking stars.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
right now they don't.
I don't think the New Japan. Well, the Ring of Honor actually is opening up like a new facility too. So, no, I think Ring of Honor, New Japan, and CMLL, the whole talent agreement, and now working a little bit also with Impact Wrestling, which is becoming more and more
fucking working with everybody.
Well, and because they're becoming more and more, they're basically a Canadian company at this point.
Yeah.
Which we all knew that was going to happen. But
seeing as they're owned by a Canadian sports corporation,
and ran by a completely Canadian staff at this point. But Ring of Honor, New Japan, CMLL, I think the agreement that they have right now is working, and I don't think they're going to change that unless something becomes not working. Unless New Japan can get major network television access. And Access TV is not that because
no, it's not.
It's only available to certain people.
Yeah.
Unless something like that happens, which you never know down the road, a few years, it could because WWE's getting a new deal. You know, you already have.
And look at how well New Japan's been doing every time they come here.
Well, yeah.
And look at how well All In did.
Well, and I will say for the first time ever, New Japan coming to the United States next week, not sold out.
Interesting.
The Cow Palace is not sold out.
But there were a lot of issues with that show, though, weren't there, from what I heard?
Expensive tickets. Also, the Cow Palace is a much bigger venue than what they've ran so far.
That could be a factor, though. If New Japan wants to make more expensive tickets, they want to be able to sell those, but their guys are being seen at other places, they might restrict their guy from going to non-New Japan shows, so people have to pay those prices to see them.
I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I think, like I said, I think the deal they have right now works. I don't think it's going to happen. But I do want to talk about...
Does New Japan see any feedback from that? Like,
I mean,
do they get part of the revenue, or is it just little exposure?
And my question is, at the end of the day, what is New Japan really getting out of this TNA relationship?
Ishimori's going to TNA. We know that. We haven't seen...
I'm sorry. No. I meant Ring of Honor.
Oh, what is Ring of Honor getting out of the Impact?
No, what is New Japan getting out of their relationship with Ring of Honor?
Exposure for their guys in America, which has helped...
But they're running their own shows here now.
Still, only 3 or 4 a year, though.
For how much longer, though? They have TV over here, Regal.
I think, but again, I think...
They sell their t-shirts at Hot Topic. They're not fucking selling Ring of Honor t-shirts at Hot Topic.
It's like...
They're not?
No!
I can't remember all the shirts we've seen last at Hot Topic.
But we just agreed that we all agree that the pay-per-view was really good. So...
Yes! But if you take Cody off that show, if you take Marty off that show, if you take the Bucks off that show, if you take...
Why are you naming them like Gaijin?
Well, because those
take
are
Kushida off the show. If you take Ingobernables de Japón off that show, is that still a good... Adam Page off that show. Is that still a good show? If your main event's Jay Lethal and Punishment Martinez?
Probably not, let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying. If you take all of the New Japan contracted guys off of that show, which I just don't see... I don't see it being nearly as beneficial for New Japan as it is for Ring of Honor, and eventually they're going to say, this is more money left on the table than it is made on the table. That's just my opinion.
I mean, yeah, but can we... I mean, and that's... I mean, we've gone on and on about that before, and there's no pure answer to that, but I want to talk more about the pay-per-view specifically.
Okay.
Which is, because you're only a casual viewer of Ring of Honor. I've got the Honor Club VIP, so I've pretty much watched everything since Supercard, and I watch the TV every week. So I'm kind of interested to see what your opinions on certain things are versus what
I
mine
liked
are.
the whole show.
What's your opinion on the Kingdom?
I just told you this. I like their look. I like their aesthetic. I don't know enough about them to comfortably say too much about them either way. And like I said, I was having problems trying to watch the 6-man, so I didn't see much of it.
Well, because I originally did not like the Kingdom. I've turned the corner on them. I like the whole horror movie gimmick. The thing with the Kingdom is, the Kingdom that we have now is very different from the way the Kingdom started, which the Kingdom we had when it started was Matt Taven being the lackey to Matt Hardy and Adam Cole.
Well, yes, that would have to change now.
So it's a little bit different version of the Kingdom. And it took me a while to warm up, especially to Vinny Marseglia and TK O'Ryan, because when they showed up, I had no clue who these guys were. I'm like,
but that's what Ring of Honor needs to do, Regal.
Well, yeah, and they've turned a corner on me, and I like the whole storyline right now that they're doing of the Kingdom Conspiracy, where, and I'll get more into that when we get to the main event and what came the day after the pay-per-view. No, I enjoyed that match. Obviously, I'm a huge Los Ingobernables fan. Can we talk for a second? Is Sonata the prettiest man in the history of the planet? He's very pretty. I'm secure enough in my masculinity to say that Sonata is a very beautiful man.
Margaret,
I don't remember. You'd have to show me.
I was gonna say, yeah. Do you know which one is Sonata?
Sonata is Chuck Taylor. Chuck Taylor actually said he was going to try to kiss him during a match once. So
Chuck Taylor's probably tried to kiss a lot of his opponents in the ring.
It's Chuck Taylor.
That's just who the Kentucky gentleman is.
Flip Gordon versus Bully Ray.
Loved it. Thought it was a great match, great story.
I thought it was a great story. I didn't like the finish.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're advancing the story with Bully Ray being an absolute jerk
and the thing is it setting up Bully and Colt?
It looked like we're going that way, which that could be a TV match. Then that builds to the next pay-per-view event where we get Bully versus Flip in like a last man standing or an ODQ or something.
I did like kind of the aesthetic of the storytelling. It's something that WCW I thought did really well, like creating a sense of chaos.
And you say,
and that's something that I don't think WWE does often enough, because it makes it feel real, where it's like the announcers are getting upset, like, we need to get somebody out here, we need to do something about this, where is everybody?
And you say Ring of Honor needs to create stars. Ring of Honor has a star in Flip Gordon.
Isn't he under contract to New Japan?
No, he's made tours with New Japan, but he's a Ring of Honor guy.
Okay.
And
I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't say he's a star yet.
I think Flip is going to be a star. He in a couple of years could be a world championship level guy for them.
Okay.
If he doesn't take a bigger money, of course, problem is, does he take a bigger money offer elsewhere?
Right.
That's the problem with Ring of Honor, and that's always been the problem with Ring of Honor, all the way back to the early days of Ring of Honor, where essentially, anytime somebody gets really big in Ring of Honor, the WWE is going to come knocking on the door with a huge bag of money.
Right.
Whether it was Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, CM Punk. I'm trying to think back to even low key. Paul, even back at very early, Paul London.
Yeah.
Brian Kendrick.
Yeah.
That's just the tip of the iceberg of the list.
Right. And I guess what I'm so it's interesting to me then that you've got, they're owned by this multi-million-dollar company now, this huge broadcasting juggernaut. Is Joe Koff going to wake up one day? Is Joe Koff the head of Sinclair altogether, or just Ring of Honor?
I think just the CEO, like the COO of Ring of Honor.
Okay. So at what point is Sinclair Broadcasting going to decide, hey, let's see how much money we can make with this wrestling thing?
Well,
and there's been stories a couple of times that WWE was even close to buying Ring of Honor.
And Sinclair bought Ring of Honor basically as a way to get programming for their networks.
Right.
Because, as I've said before, we're in the minority in the United States in the fact that the TV market in the Quad Cities doesn't have a Sinclair station.
Right.
Peoria has a Sinclair station. Chicago,
Waterloo does.
Waterloo, Des Moines, all have Sinclair stations. Pretty much every surrounding market, other than the Quad Cities, has a Sinclair Broadcasting station in it. We are one of the few markets in the country that doesn't at this point. So we are one of the few markets that doesn't actually get Ring of Honor TV, and I have to watch it on Monday afternoon on Honor Club. But
can you still watch it on the Fight?
You can still watch it on the Fight app on Monday night. The reason I watch it on Honor Club is because Fight randomly puts their own ads in.
Oh,
and
that doesn't bother me.
I about went nuclear one time when they stuck an ad literally in the finish of a match. Like the guys are hitting their finish spot, and all of a sudden it just and there's no warning; it just randomly breaks to these ads.
Well, that's
so. It would finish going into the finish sequence and random break, come back on 1, 2, 3. It's like that killed any momentum and enjoyment of watching that match.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoyed it for the majority of the time frame.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. So what any other matches you want to talk about, Regal?
I do because Austin Aries and Kenny King, they went 16 minutes.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, I wasn't feeling it. Aries is okay and Kenny King's okay.
Yeah.
But just for whatever reason, this match, a lot of people liked it. I wasn't feeling it, but I do want to move on because I like the next. I really loved pretty much everything from here on out. I liked. Jay Lethal versus Kushida,
yeah.
I thought was fantastic. And them telling the story of Lethal trying to beat everybody that's beaten him recently.
Yeah.
And this being a rubber match between the two, I thought they did excellent. Probably my second favorite match on the show, honestly. Maybe third because the World Television title street fight between Punishment Martinez and Hangman Page. Dude, Hangman Page has become Mr. Pay-Per-View in Ring of Honor for me because it seems like every pay-per-view, he's just getting the crap kicked out of him.
I could see. Is he signed to Ring of Honor?
He's a Ring of Honor signed guy.
Okay.
Again, it's the two-way contract thing, so I don't know. But I think his primary is Ring of Honor. But he is in the G1, so...
I think I see him going places in the next couple of years.
Oh, Hangman Page, the guy who literally... I think he worked the opening match of Death Before Dishonor, 2012, when me and Doug Ritter went to it.
Yeah.
And so I've seen his progression.
Yeah.
And he has come from, literally being the opening match guy to being a guy... They made a big deal because he got his own entrance music on this pay-per-view for the first time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which that means he's still in the Bullet Club, but he's getting more and more of his own identity. He's getting more of a singles push. This feud between him and Punishment has been great. Again, Punishment a guy that is a Ring of Honor guy that is, to me, amazingly talented. I mean, he's got a unique look to him. He's taller. He's taller, but he can move. Bigger guy. Definitely does a unique look. Works his gimmick. I definitely like Punishment Martinez a lot. He made New Japan last year for the Ring of Honor shows, but hasn't gone back since. And what's really weird because they said Gato was really, really high on Punishment, but they haven't got back to him yet. But he's definitely a guy that Ring of Honor, I think, he's probably going to be around Ring of Honor for a while because how much is it's going to come to a point where WWE's going to sit here and go, yeah, we got enough of these tall jack guys. We need something else.
Yeah.
So Punishment could be a guy that they could lean on for at least a couple years. Okay, now we get to this match. The Briscoes, Jay and Mark, taking on the Young Bucks of Nick and Matt Jackson. The heavyweight Young Bucks, Alex. They're heavyweights now,
Gotcha.
They're buffed up. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Now, Alex.
What?
I know you're generally a hater.
I thought it was a fine match.
You enjoyed the match.
Yeah, it was good.
Will you agree with me that the Bucks have gotten a lot better? They still do the spots, but they have learned over the last couple of years to work a lot more of a regular style match.
Sure.
You're not going to give me anything on this, are you?
No.
You're not going to give me anything, Alex.
What?
Say it. I like the Young Bucks.
I don't like the Young Bucks. I think they're fine. They don't annoy me as much as they used to. I feel like that should be a victory for you, Regal.
They're the best fucking tag team in the world. They literally have the titles to prove it. They have the merch sales to prove it. They popped the TV ratings, buy rates, subscriptions on everything, and you still won't admit that.
I'm gonna quit the show again.
You're gonna quit the show again?
Yep.
Oh Lord.
Actually, I am gonna be taking a week or two off.
Yeah, you gotta go get married or something and go on a honeymoon.
Yeah.
I don't know why you can't Skype into the show from your honeymoon.
Fuck you. No, I would consider taking an hour out of my honeymoon to do a podcast with you, but it wouldn't be an hour out of my honeymoon because I'd have to fucking edit and post the thing. So you don't know how to do either of those things.
We'll get it. We'll get through, folks. Don't worry. The podcast isn't going anywhere. I will be here, possibly with some guests. Alex will be doing his honeymoon thing, sitting on the beach reading a book or something. I don't know.
You know where we're going, do you?
No, I don't actually know where you're going.
Good.
Good. That way I'm going to stow away your luggage or something. You need some big luggage for that to happen.
Yeah, big fucking suitcase.
That's a huge suitcase. They may not let that on the plane.
We're not going on a plane.
Oh, yeah. They might weigh the car down too much. I don't know.
We're driving.
But no, I enjoyed the tag team match immensely. I'm a fan of the Bucks. I'm a fan of the Briscoes. These, like I said, Briscoes obviously they're going to be in Ring of Honor until the day they die.
Basically. Which, with the Briscoes, could be any day now.
Well, you never know. Something could happen on the chicken farm. I hope not. Let's not say that because then something does happen. Then I'll feel really bad about it. But no, they're gonna. And keep in mind the Briscoes. The WWE wanted them at one point, but literally they would have had to shut the chicken farm down, and they would have lost money. And they've got families, and they said, "Nah, we're good. We're gonna stay over here. We're gonna work."
How many dates do they work?
They pretty much only work Ring of Honor now.
Yeah.
I don't think they work any indies, and they raise chickens. So
I don't think they haven't worked any indies for a while.
No, they really haven't. I occasionally maybe for Northeast which is Taven's company that he runs. So
yeah,
that might be the little place. Then you get to the main event.
Yep.
Dalton Castle taking on Cody and Marty Scurll in a 3-way.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this match?
It made a lot more sense afterwards when I found out that Dalton was hurt, because I just thought the whole thing was good. It was just a little weird. I didn't really understand, like, the storytelling wasn't what I expected it to be. It was a fine match.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, as I'm looking here, I'm trying to figure this out. They ended up actually having one of the shortest. They actually had the second shortest match on the show.
Yeah.
Which obviously Dalton. I mean, the guy and people were saying, "Oh, his title reign was horrible. His title reign was bad." His title reign wasn't bad.
There was a lot of gaga in that match.
Well, the problem is Dalton got hurt.
And the boys and the big fucking bear and Brandy and.
Hey.
What?
Do not besmirch Bernard the Business Bear.
Oh, I thought you were going to yell at me for talking about Brandy.
No, we can talk about Brandy. Brandy was definitely... Brandy was looking... You know the best part about the thing they did the next night? I got 2 nights of Brandy.
Oh, you're so lucky, Regal. They did that just for you.
I got 2 nights of looking at Brandy Rhodes. I have no complaints about that at all. No, I enjoyed the match. There were, like you said, there was a lot of Gaga.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't mind Gaga.
It wasn't, and they furthered the storyline with Nick Aldis.
Yep. And the one thing I do want to say is I actually appreciate it. Like when you're gonna have Gaga, I don't mind if it's shorter. I hate it when you do like a whole shit ton of Gaga and then a whole shit ton of wrestling, and then I'm usually just kind of like burned out. Like if it's Gaga, let it be Gaga. If it's gonna be a fucking long serious match, let's have some fucking wrestling.
They used the boys. They had them take some bumps. They used Bernard. They had him take some bumps. So they kept the bump card off of Dalton, obviously. Mm-hmm. Which I don't care what this is. There was actually one of the matches on one of the Texas shows was the boys versus the Bucks. Yeah. And they had a hell of a match. Really? Those guys can work. Yeah. People sometimes don't realize how good the Boy 1 and Boy 2 actually are as a tag team. Really? They had names. I swear to God, at one point they had names. Then they just started calling them Boy 1 and Boy 2.
Just like Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Cat in the Hat.
Well, yeah. But, no. It was what it was. Dalton retains. And then, obviously, the next night we get the social media alerts of, hey, stay tuned on Honor Club. We're going to be going live with a 4-way title match of Matt Taven, Jay Lethal, Cody, and Dalton Castle. Yeah. My first question, why the hell wasn't Marty in the match? I don't know. But either way, and of course people were either really happy about this or complaining. I'll lay it out here right now and I'll tell you, there are reasons this happened. Number one, Ring of Honor traditionally has always said, okay, if the fans assume that we're going to do this and everybody instantly thinks it's going to happen, they pivot and they go in another direction. Sure. Everybody thought that Cody was going to win the world title in that 3-way. So they said, nope, Dalton's going to win it. That way we're going to keep you guessing. The biggest, you want an example of why this works in Ring of Honor? CM Punk had signed with the WWE, and he had a world title match. And they said, well, Austin Aries is going to win. Nope, they had CM Punk win and go 4 more months in Ring of Honor before he left for WWE. Yeah. It works, and it creates good story. Secondly, so this match happens next night. Obviously, they're taping TV. But where did this match go? Honor Club. Yeah. So if you were, at your buddy's house watching the pay-per-view or whatever, now, okay, here's the deal. We're giving this 4-way title match and pretty much guaranteeing you that if we're going to announce that we're showing a 4-way title match on our service, there's probably going to be a change to the belt. So here it is. It's on our subscription service. This is what you have to sign up for a subscription service because you never quite know what may or may not happen.
I actually think WWE should do more shit like that.
Didn't they do that with Rusev and Sheamus once? Where they had like a exclusive match on the network after SmackDown or something? Yeah. I actually think, that's something WWE should do more of that they don't do. Is this random pop-up. Or, what would be great for WWE?
What's that?
Just film a house show every once in a while. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, a couple days before, hey, we're going to Madison Square Garden, and this show's going to be on the network. Or we're going to be at, Allstate Arena, and this show's going to be on the network. Yeah. Something like that. So Ring of Honor does this match on the Honor Club service. It gets people excited about Honor Club if you're not already signed up, which ever since, with the exception of Supercard of Honor, which was a disaster, I've had no problems with streams. I've had no problems getting anything working on there. It's actually one of the better, works probably better than some of the other streaming services. So I've enjoyed it. It's definitely a great value, and it's worth my one-time payment to be the Honor Club VIP to get the pay-per-views. So I've actually been a super big fan of this service so far. I've gone back, watched some past catalog stuff. They're actually putting year one shows up now in the VOD vault. They're also doing best ofs. There is a best of Seth Rollins collection coming soon. And I know like the best of Punk and the best of Kevin Steen that they put up are like 6 hours long. So hopefully there's going to be like a 6-hour-long best of Tyler Black for me to watch within the next few weeks.
There you go.
But so they have this match, and they changed the title. Jay Lethal wins the belt.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Regal?
Lethal is the franchise. He's the franchise guy. He's not going anywhere. Again, you talk about guys that aren't going anywhere. Lethal's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He is Ring of Honor pretty much till the end of time.
You think so?
I do. He had his time in Impact as the Black Machismo and all that, but I've always associated Lethal with Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Because again, a guy who I watched, he literally had a do or die show match with Austin Aries back in the day.
Okay.
Was how I first saw him. And I remember hearing about Jay Lethal from like Jersey All Pro and stuff before he was in Ring of Honor. But
sure.
He's a guy kind of like you're seeing now with Punish Martinez, Flip Gordon, these guys that are basically, they may have indie experience, but you know them as Ring of Honor guys.
Right.
So Lethal getting the belt, and again, who's to say that how long Lethal's going to hold it? Who's to say where this is? Obviously, the Nick Aldis thing where he wants to have the match. I'm guessing it all in right now. I'm guessing we're getting a triple threat.
Why?
I'm guessing we're getting Lethal versus Cody versus Aldis in a triple threat, winner take all.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
You don't like that?
No.
Really?
No.
Do you not like Lethal, or?
I like everybody involved. I think Cody Rhodes should be in a fucking singles match at All In.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's a terrible idea. I hate that.
But anyway, holy shit, we spent 45 minutes talking about the Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
We did that. We tried to fucking cast the Black and Brave movie.
Oh, yeah, we did that too. Forgot about that. I do want to talk real quick about I did watch the CEO Cross New Japan show on Twitch. First off, again, this to me is the perfect example of where I think Twitch is the future, one of the futures of wrestling.
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, nobody knew what Twitch was unless you were like a competitive gamer.
Right.
Now, Twitch obviously has become a huge place for pro wrestling, and literally in this event, we literally have competitive gaming.
Yeah.
Which CEO is a, what is it? Community Effort Orlando Fighting Sports Championship is what it is. It is a esports gaming event specifically for fighting games.
Gotcha.
They brought New Japan over. The promoter of the event is a friend and huge fan of Kenny Omega.
Okay.
Kenny put this show together.
Yep, sure did.
You're just waiting, aren't you?
Wait. Go ahead, keep going.
Let me get my piece out, and then we'll talk about what I know you're going to want to talk about. So this event, bringing the professional gaming world and Twitch together with New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan did about 5 matches on the show. Really easy to watch. You can go check it out on Twitch. It's CEO Gaming, all one word. I really enjoyed the show. I will say I was talking about the commentators. They did a great job. They actually had commentators who worked the CEO Gaming stuff. One guy is a Overwatch guy. One guy is a like Street Fighter, like fighting game guy. The other guy does something else. Obviously, at least 2 of them I could tell were definitely fans of the product, so it worked out well. I really enjoyed the presentation of the show. They had a packed house. So obviously the CEO Fighting Game Championship is a big deal. I've never gotten into esports. Although I guess, did you see there's an esports place that's going to be in downtown Davenport?
Is that what that is?
Some new place. It's going to be esports and VR, and I know they're having a VR racing league. I'm actually excited about because that is something I may actually try.
VR racing?
Yeah.
Hey, Regal.
What?
Left turn.
Hey.
What?
I'm sure it'll be like Grand Prix, so I'll be making right turns too.
Oh shit.
It won't be like racing NASCARs.
Oh, I don't know. I don't play racing games.
Yeah. But okay, so Alex, the floor is yours.
So, go ahead and give people background.
Okay, so this show had 5 New Japan matches on it, and it had 7 matches total. They gave the opening match to the company that built the ring, which was Team Vision Dojo. Team Vision Dojo booked a match between Aaron Epic and a gentleman by the name of Chasyn Rance. A independent wrestler who a couple of years ago was convicted of statutory rape for having contact with a 15-year-old female wrestling fan. Now, I've said this for for a while. Why should anyone be booking Chasyn Rance?
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the deal. They built the ring, they set it up. Kenny gave them a match and really said, go ahead and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Because he was busy, doing everything else for this thing. And they booked this guy.
It's his school, isn't it?
I don't know.
I was under the impression it was his school.
Okay, I'm not sure if it is or not, so I'm not going to comment on that. But, so, Chasyn Rance gets booked.
Allegedly, it's his school.
Chasyn Rance gets booked.
Yeah.
And the internet goes insane.
Because he's a perp.
Okay, so yes, he is a convicted registered sex offender.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega went on Twitter and wrote a very easy, very simple formula. I won't say formula because that's something. He wrote a very succinct, and sincere apology letter.
Yeah.
Saying that next time he will make sure this doesn't happen again. All that. Margaret, what is it you said about the apology that Kenny made that you showed people in wrestling how to do an apology properly?
It was a masterclass in apologizing because A, he admitted that what happened was wrong, and B, said exactly what he was going to do to prevent it from happening again in the future.
Yeah, he didn't sugarcoat over it. He didn't say, well, I didn't know this, blah, blah, blah. He said, look, I didn't realize who they were booking for this match. I gave them this match and told them they could do what they want with it. And this happened. I will make sure it doesn't happen again in the future. I will be much more careful about who I am working with. Of course, people on Twitter still want to crucify Kenny for this.
But, Regal, okay, because the fucking picture came out of him posing in a photo with a guy he alleged he didn't know from 2 years ago.
No, he said he did not. He never said he didn't know him. He said, well, admittedly, he said the last time he met him was 2004.
He said he didn't know about the convicted sex offender, which Kenny pretty much lives in Japan, so he probably doesn't. He doesn't work a lot of shows in the U.S. outside of an occasional PWG or Ring of Honor show. He's probably never worked with Chasyn Rance since at least 2004, 2008, whatever, before the statutory rape charges. So he probably did not know.
I'll say this right now. The people more at fault, because he said, according to the apology, he said he turned to the school, who had also been the ring crew for the day, and told them to bring forward 2 guys. There's no way in hell those guys who would have been around him that long didn't know what had happened.
I need to verify this, Margaret, but I believe it was actually his school. It was Chasyn Rance's school, I believe.
Was it? But the other people there still knew.
Right, but I believe it was his school that Kenny brought in. I'm not sure about that, though. I'd have to verify that.
The name of the school is somewhere.
It's Team Vision Dojo.
Yeah, I mean, Chasyn Rance, he, for those of you, I did find out the show that he was on, by the way. It literally was called Tool Academy.
Well,
And literally, it was about guys taking their girlfriends on the show. That were douchey dudes.
Oh, no. Was this the one where the guys didn't know what the show was? I thought it was like some male model competition and ended up being... I actually saw part of that. Yeah, I'm not surprised that dude is on there.
Yeah, he is literally on there, like in the opening episode in his wrestling gear. So I'm trying to find it. I cannot find out if the Team Vision Dojo actually is his or not. So I'm not going to comment.
Team Vision Dojo, pro wrestling training plus live events, and rentals. I don't know.
Keep in mind, Chasyn Rance did at one point did make some. Actually, he was on Impact for a while, so he's had a wrestling career, but again, hasn't been seen much outside of a few Florida indies since the incident. And it comes down to a thing of, Why is anybody letting this guy be on a show?
Right.
He's a convicted sex offender. I would not want him on my show.
Is that him right there? Look at the picture. In the corner.
No, that's him. That's for sure.
Is that the same guy? Anyways.
I can't tell, but...
Either way. You know, the point is you know, David Bixenspan came out and basically said that you shared that picture from 2 years ago saying they'd got the ring from Team Vision before and he was associated with it. My thing is, and you know, and I'm gonna admit some fault here. This is something I'm guilty of. We really, as a wrestling community, need to stop. Because my thing is like, you're like shitting all over David Bixenspan for reporting on this. He's supposed to be a reporter. One thing that I said when we started with Pro Wrestling Iowa, and when I started with Pro Wrestling Iowa back in the day, and obviously we're not part of Pro Wrestling Iowa anymore, was I'm always someone who has held... I've always held journalists and the idea of integrity in journalism in high regard. So I think if we're like, and I'm really guilty of going after Meltzer. I think I do a pretty good job. Not to like backtrack. I think I do a pretty good job of saying, hey, my issue with Meltzer is his star rating system and not his reporting. But like, somebody made a really good point that there are podcasts out there that literally are only out there to discredit Meltzer. I mean, if you listen to Pritchard, if you listen to Bischoff, that seems to be their main prerogative. And really just kind of, this tweet got me thinking about it this week, how really problematic that is. Because if it goes back to, not to bring up politics, it goes back to what the president's doing. When you discredit the media and accuse the media of lying or try to convince people not to trust the media, that creates danger because the media is there to hold people accountable, and if the media is always discredited, then people can basically get away with whatever they want because they're never going to be held accountable.
And here's the thing, and I'll actually bring up a point that you brought up. There's somebody in that locker room that knows about Chasyn Rance that probably should have said something to Kenny Omega.
Right.
You can't be silent. Now, unfortunately, it's the pro wrestling world, and here's the thing. A lot of times, guys are afraid to step up and say anything because they don't want to cause drama. They're
afraid that it's going to... Well, and wrestling has such a fraternity mentality that they're afraid it's going to cost them their spot to call attention to somebody else.
And it's not right, but unfortunately, that is kind of what
there are probably promoters with that attitude. That if you trash talk my buddy, I'm going to get you debooked.
By the way, breaking news on the Off the Chest Timothy Regal podcast. Well, it won't be breaking news by the time I read this. LeBron James just signed with the Lakers.
Really?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, you know, there are plenty of guys in wrestling who aren't pieces of shit that I'd love to see get opportunities instead of these other guys.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it bothers me at the end of the day. There's too many good guys in wrestling who aren't getting a shot, and then so for somebody like that to get a shot, that just irks me. But I do think it's important to talk about the thing that we really, I think, we have to be careful that we're not, just because you like Kenny Omega doesn't mean David Bixenspan can't do his job.
No, and I agree with you. And
he needs to report on the issue.
And I'm defending Kenny, and I will defend Kenny. I believe his apology was genuine. I believe he didn't know whether or not he should have done better research, whether or not somebody should have stepped up. Obviously, those are questions that Bix has asked in his articles and needs to ask. My issue with Bixenspan is I feel like sometimes he lets his personal opinions get a little bit too much into his reporting.
Well, and that could be fair. I honestly don't read enough of his stuff to say, but like at the end of the day, if we don't have journalists, if we don't have journalism, and I'm not a journalist, I don't claim to be a journalist, I don't pretend to be a journalist, I don't want anyone to think that I'm a journalist, Because...
You mean we're not doing serious wrestling journalism again?
No. No, because honestly, like, I'll say this: if I was a journalist in this business, I wouldn't have a lot of friends in this business.
No, you.
Because I would tell the truth, and I would report on the story, and I would not care who I offended or who I bothered or who I got heat with,
or who you said that they had a shit match.
Right, but I'm not a journalist. I don't want to be a journalist. I don't want to pretend to be a journalist. If someone thinks I'm a journalist, you're wrong. I'm not. I've never been a journalist. No desire to be a journalist. Not a journalist.
But I will say, beyond... Okay, so obviously with that now out of the way, I do want to say something about the show itself. I actually will recommend this to people if they kind of want to check out some New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That, you don't want to pay for New Japan World. You don't have access TV, whatever. You can go watch this event for free on Twitch.
Sure.
It's actually, and if you go and watch just the 5 matches that were New Japan matches, it's only, you have to fast forward probably about an hour and a half into the actual stream, I think, is when because there was a long pre-stream that's still on it, and then I don't know if they'll cut it down eventually, but
sure.
Then there were a couple breaks in it. They did show the debut of the hilarious Fire Pro Wrestling World commercial.
Really?
With Kenny Omega playing the game, and then there's a ring in his living room, and then Kota Ibushi tags in with a PS4 controller in his in the back of his trunks.
Nice.
It was quite funny. But no, there were 5 matches on this show. Jushin Thunder Liger versus Rocky Romero. The Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa versus David Finlay and Juice Robinson. Jeff Cobb taking on Chase Owens. Dragon Lee and Ryusuke Taguchi versus Roppongi 3K. And then the main event, obviously, was Los Ingobernables de Japón of Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito taking on Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi. The last 2 matches, especially, were really, really, really good on this show. Obviously, the main event was amazing. Every match is an easy watch. If you fast forward, you watch the 5 matches. It's only about an hour and a half, maybe a little over an hour and a half. It's an easy watch if you're a person that might be listening to this and says, Regal always talks about New Japan and how much he loves it. I kind of maybe want to check some New Japan out. I would actually recommend going and checking out this show. The only thing my only complaint with the show, honestly, is this seems to be a thing on Twitch streams.
Yeah.
The camera balance wasn't quite right. So when they were on the hard cam, it would look a little different from when they would go to the moving cams, the roving cams.
I noticed that on the first episode of MLW, and I think they've gotten it fixed. But when they first started,
I've noticed that on a couple of Twitch stream wrestling events that I've watched.
Yeah,
I know the lighting was a massive problem. They had to take an early intermission at the last Pro Wrestling Revolver show to fix the lights. Because the lights ended up being very bad for the hard cam.
Well, and that's what you have to. This is why if you are a promoter, if you want to be a promoter, do your research, figure out what your filming requirements are, figure out who you're booking on your show. Seems like is wrestling just so amateur hour that anybody thinks that they can do it. This is basic stuff. How do you run a show if you don't know what your cameras need to look like? How do you run a show if you don't know who's working on your show?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a Twitch stream. We don't know how much pre-prep time they had. Apparently, they only had a few hours to set the building up, even because they're using it for the fighting championships. So it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, obviously, this hopefully will become a year. They've said it's going to become a yearly event. They had a huge crowd.
Yeah, I heard that.
It was the place was packed. So it looked like it was pretty packed. So, and by the way, this was a huge. We've kind of glossed over this. Huge crowd for that Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was a good crowd.
Love seeing them trying to go to bigger venues.
Yeah.
Or at least for the pay-per-views and the TV. And love seeing them get these bigger crowds. Obviously, they had the 7,000 for Supercard of Honor, was their biggest crowd ever.
Yeah.
A good weekend as far as the national wrestling scene. And then, of course, we had, and here it comes, folks. So, if you are a Netflix binge watcher and you haven't watched Glow yet, you might want to turn the podcast off now.
Glow spoilers starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So here it is, folks. It was season 2 of Glow.
The gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
The Netflix series that pretty much everybody loved. We reviewed it. You can go back in the archives.
About a year
ago, we reviewed season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And again, 10 episodes, a little over a half hour long each episode. Maybe a couple were under a half hour. This is an easy watch. And if you, like I said, it's one of those shows that if you want to dedicate and do it in one day, you really can. I watched the first 5 episodes Friday. I think you watched, what did you watch yesterday?
We watched the first 5 episodes yesterday.
And then we collectively watched the last 5 episodes together.
Margaret, do you want to come talk about Glow?
You going to come in on this one, Margaret? I know you've got some opinions.
I got a lot of opinions, but how much time are you guys sitting at?
Hey, this is our podcast. We don't have a time limit on the Slam Fam Wrestling Network.
Okay.
Nobody gets angry if we go an hour and 32 minutes on the Slam Fam Network. Don't fall through the window.
I'm good.
Margaret almost just fell through the window, folks.
Hey, don't break my window.
We don't.
Your window.
You're worried about your window. I'd be more worried about the fact of your fiance falling through a window 13 days before you're supposed to get married.
Yeah.
But no, Alex, obviously, I'll say it. I think this season just as good, if not better.
I'd say it's at least as good.
I, like I said, enjoyed it pretty much. I think every episode is an easy episode to watch. It's a fun. It's a blend of being fun, a blend of drama, some serious drama, some actually, again, great insight into how the wrestling business works. I actually liked they showed more training, I think, this season. This season, obviously, because the first season ends with the pilot episode.
Right.
Whereas in this season, you get to see them actually filming the first season of the show.
It's a little bit, is it the first season, though? It's a little bit confusing, because they make it sound like they're coming back after a break. So they make it sound like...
Usually you take a break after a pilot, though.
Yeah.
It might have been, but I don't know. It just seems very weird to me that it's like...
I assume basically on this one they're filming basically what would be the first season of a television show. And keep in mind that this is based on Glow. It's based on the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. They've taken a lot of liberties in certain places.
What?
Well, I think to a certain extent, like, if they were to have recreated those perfectly, you'd have the issue of, are those still licensed to certain companies? Do you need to get the license for them?
Yeah, and you'd have to. So they changed the character. I mean, most of the characters, at least the gimmicks that the wrestlers have, are based on gimmicks from actual Glow episodes.
Yeah.
They're
except for what was the one I was talking about? Was it Junk Chain? We couldn't. No, there was one of them where we're looking like, okay, what was the equivalent? Welfare Queen. We couldn't really find an equivalent for Welfare Queen.
There was a character that was kind of similar, I believe, but again, I have only seen Glow like on YouTube, pretty much.
Have you watched the documentary?
I did watch the documentary. We never got the show here in the Quad Cities. Like I said, I think it may have actually been on sometimes at like 2 a.m, but I never saw it as a kid. Yeah. So,
your parents didn't let you watch wrestling at 2 a.m?
No. Literally, a point of the show this season is that nobody watches wrestling at 2 a.m.
And how the times have changed. You can now literally put wrestling on any hour of the fucking day.
No, people will get up at 3 a.m. to watch wrestling.
I watch wrestling at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. a lot because that's what time New Japan comes on.
This one, I think comparatively, I mean, you can't say that the first season didn't have some dark points. I mean, Ruth does get an abortion, so like you can't really say that it doesn't have some darker points. But this season got fucking dark.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking spoilers, right?
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. You have Debbie's essentially meltdown where she just loses her shit entirely.
Does a whole bunch of blow.
Yeah, breaks Ruth's leg, legit. You have the quest, and I still think I know what the actual reasoning was behind it. The quest of Bash to find his butler, and you find out that like his butler was his lifelong friend, and
well,
maybe more than that.
The storyline with Bash, and it was kind of you could kind of tell, I think, in the first season, but it's pretty much been spelled out in the second season. That, keep in mind, the show's set in 1985.
Yeah.
That Bash is gay, but he hasn't been able to deal with it in his own mind yet.
But they do have some the showing not telling storytelling of the show is quite brilliant because like and I said I knew the reasoning behind it because the Florian the butler disappears, won't really say why. Bash thinks it's because his check bounced because others bounced before, but I'm like, if you're lifelong friends, you're not literally going to leave without a word because of that. Just because a check bounced without at least talking it through. But then Bash gets a call from the hospital that says Florian died, and when he asked how, the nurse says, technically pneumonia. And, well, considering the fact that this is the 80s, one of the places Florian was seen was at it, but was very clearly a gay club, although I don't think Carmen and Rhonda realized that when they walked in there. But Bash had to have.
And you see Bash, and then as soon as she says technically pneumonia, they don't say it, but you can kind of, it's pretty much. And
then Bash orders a cleaning crew to literally clean and bleach every ounce of his house.
Which, keep in mind, in 1985, a lot of people would have.
Yeah.
That was.
But the thing is, what I loved about that is they never come out and say, oh, BTW, his butler had AIDS. Like, they just give you enough hints that if you know the time period and you know enough about the disease, you can piece it together very easily, but they never flat out come out and say the word.
Yes.
Which I think was very brilliant. I still want Bash to come out of the closet.
And I hope that eventually the character does. Obviously, I'm probably one of my... Sam is my favorite character on the show. I legitimately think Mark Maron deserves Emmy awards for this show.
I thought his performance in the first season was a little better. I didn't think he was as strong of a character this season.
He wasn't because, well, I thought he was more of a stereotype, a caricature in the first season.
What you're seeing in the second season, I think this is what a lot of people are going to mistake, is the character is actually growing and expanding, and you're seeing the character now having a relationship with his daughter, obviously having a relationship with a very friendship, possibly more relationship with Ruth. The fact that as much as he doesn't want to admit it, he obviously cares for these women that work for him.
Yeah. Except not Reggie. Fuck Reggie.
He fired Reggie.
But he definitely, you get to see his character go through some interesting arcs to where he essentially admits I'm an insecure old man.
Yeah,
that's why he fires Reggie.
Yeah, he fires Reggie because he was insecure. The scene, I think, is so telling where he goes to the film festival where they're screening his film, and he doesn't even want to stand up and say anything because of his own insecurity, and he doesn't want to, be acknowledged. But no, I love Mark Maron just in general. His podcast is amazing. His TV
What's his
show.
What's his podcast about?
A lot of social satire. Very political. He's very liberal. He is an amazing comic. He was amazing on At Midnight, which is a show that I used to love.
Although the thing is, I know they're pushing it hardcore, but I still don't believe it, and I ship fucking anyone and everyone. I cannot get in or get behind Sam and Ruth. I can't. I cannot see it.
See, and I'm the exact opposite. I totally am. I
don't know why. Well, maybe because she's had so many fucked up relationships and he's the king of fucked up relationships that if they got together, it would be both of them falling back on really old, shitty habits.
Sometimes, though, you need two people that have been down broken roads.
But they haven't recovered, either of them.
Well, and hope maybe together, that's going to be a thing of the third season, is them finally going through the recovery. And I will say the scenes that Sam has with his daughter, I thought were some of the best things that they did this season.
Yeah.
I love the scene where he comes in and she comes in and she says, and he turns around and goes, "How was school?" And she just glares at him and he goes, "Hey, I'm asking. I'm at least attempting to be a father."
Hey, who is the actress playing Justine again? I can't remember her name.
God, I can't remember her name right now.
But she's proved herself as an actress because she is not a wrestler anymore. She's pretty much because she only came there because she wanted to meet her dad.
Yeah.
But she's still around. Like, the girls still welcome her around, and so she becomes a non-wrestling extra character for their PSAs and extra skits. And it's so funny because the actress in the show, the quote unquote real character, is like angsty, over the top. The joke is that she could be April Ludgate's younger sister. But then, like, her character, I don't remember, Judy or Janet or something like that, her character on the show is like prototypical good girl next door who refuses to have sex and always works on her math homework right after school.
Yeah.
And it's it's so great. That whole episode, can we talk about that episode?
We'll get to that.
You have a list.
Britt Baron is her name, by the way.
I
was trying to remember because the funny thing is it rhymes with Mark Maron.
Think that's how she got the job?
I don't know, that's just kind of ironic. But
coincidental, you mean?
Yeah. Obviously, we saw a new character, Yo-Yo, and I know
I love her.
Margaret loves her, and her. And,
I love her very, very particular reason.
Her and Arthy's story arc, which
is basically, well, Yo-Yo is a lesbian. Is from the beginning and I'm sorry, I called this first of all. So one of the episodes, and we'll get more into it later, is quite literally an episode of Glow. Like, the actual, like, it's as if you, the viewer, are in the 1980s watching an episode of The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling on TV. They literally formatted an entire, so there's no real names, all kayfabe, and it is fucking beautiful. Like, one match for the entire show. What did the joke Vince Russo must have booked that?
Yeah, and it's hilarious, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's filled with the cheesy laugh track comedy sketches, the horrible, like, they even made fake commercials.
Yeah. If you like Southpaw, you'll like that episode.
Yes, it's a lot like Southpaw Regional Wrestling. The We Are the World type.
Oh my God.
Kidnappers
give back the kids you kidnapped song.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is
the only thing wrong with that song was that they had the heels in singing it.
One of the things I love this season is them showing them interacting with the fans. And I think this is where the character of Sheila, the she-wolf, shines, because you see Sheila having a bunch of fans dressed up as
just
Sheila,
like her,
including a male fan, and it's so first she's really creeped out, and she's like, and they actually say, well, a lot of our fans are creepy and have been to prison and stuff like that.
Oh, but going back, so Yo-Yo is openly gay and likes making people uncomfortable, and she particularly likes making Arthy uncomfortable because, like, Arthy's very, very, not conservative politically, but conservative, like, stylistically and culturally and all of that, and really hates her character, but, so she has a dream sequence in the kayfabe episode where it's like, I didn't always want to be a terrorist. Once I wanted to be a dancer, and I swear to God, it's a dream ballet straight out of Singing in the Rain. I swear to God, it's the same backdrop from You Stepped Out of a Dream. But the person she's dancing with is Yo-Yo in a suit. And I called it from the moment that happened that something was going down. Like, you're going to have her dance with the out lesbian. And they're talking about what if Glow ends, what if it's over, because again, they have that sort of last-ditch, we might be canceled type drama. And Arthy and Yo-Yo are talking, and Yo-Yo, they basically go, what if we kept living together even after this is over? And they actually end up kissing during the final battle royal.
Battle
So,
royal.
and then, like, in the last scene on the bus, they, like, have, you know, they're sitting together with, like, their heads on each other's shoulders. So, like, never said, but it's pretty much canon they're a couple. And, I know it's 2018, but the fact that a show was willing to be like, yep, gay couple, gay dude in the closet, other gay couple, fucking deal with it. Like,
we also, my favorite character on the show, Rhonda, aka Britannica. We find out, and again, a character that shines in that 8th episode in the horrible laugh track comedy sketches.
That dummy sketch,
The dummy
downloading her
sketch,
brain.
yeah,
Oh, it's great.
She was hilarious in that episode. But we find out towards the end of the season that she never got into the country illegally. So
Didn't I call it?
Yeah. So you find out she's illegal. She's gonna marry a fan in the season finale of Glow.
To stay
a fan played by a very famous to a lot of people for the guy who played Ham in The Sandlot.
They call him, I forget what his real name is, but they call him Cupcake. 'Cause he always brings her cupcakes.
He brings cupcakes. And the funny thing is about this guy is he looks pretty much exactly the same at 40 as he did
Pretty
when he was
much.
12.
He's like, yeah, like, you're like, oh, you don't know that's totally Ham. Like, he still is that.
He looks exactly like he looks like an older version of Ham.
But then Bash ends up stepping in and basically, quote unquote, tells her all those times I was spending time in your room, and he was technically spending time in her room. They weren't having sex. He was sleeping on the floor because he was lonely because his house was big and empty because Florian wasn't there. Basically tells her he loves her, and decides that he wants to be the one marrying her instead.
So Bash essentially gets a
beard.
Gets a beard, yeah.
Yeah, she's his beard, and it has to be a thing in the 3rd season. It has to be like she's clueless. She and Carmen didn't realize that that bar with only men, where all the men were wearing like skin tight jeans and like see-through shirts,
or no shirts in some
like
cases.
yeah.
Hey, Margaret, your tweet got liked by Shakira Barrera.
I don't even know what tweet that is. Oh, is that the one about Glow? Which one?
Yes.
Apparently one of my tweets about Glow got liked by one of the actresses.
The actresses who play
Is she Yo-Yo?
Yeah,
she's Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo.
Awesome! Yo-Yo liked. Was it the one about Yo-Yo and Arthur being
is
gay?
That Yo-Yo?
She looks
She looks different than she does on the show. Yeah.
Hold on, keep going.
I mean,
Shakira Barrera.
there's not a lot of Hispanic people on the show. But no, so I fully see that being a big point of conflict because they are legally married and it's a marriage of convenience. But first of all, he didn't need to say he loved her. He could literally just be like, you know me more than you know him. Yeah. Let's get married.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to be don't you know I love you?
I felt bad for that kid, man.
He got great heel heat.
Yeah.
What was the line?
This is all fake, just like wrestling.
Yeah.
And everyone boos him.
Yeah, this wedding
Everyone
is fake,
hates
just
him.
like wrestling. And
Love is fake and so is wrestling.
Yeah.
Love is
Oh my
fake and
God.
love is fake and so is wrestling.
But wrestling is fake, and like I'm like, that guy got the best heel heat of anyone on the show.
I'm like,
And you
oh,
notice that fucking
I'd have been beating
Karma
somebody's
was the
ass.
first one that went for him.
Yeah,
and what a great storyline with her and her son this season.
Oh,
Emotionally
the wonderful
moving.
Kia Stevens, aka I can't remember what her actual name on the show is, but Welfare Queen in Glow.
What is her real name?
It's
like Sharon or something.
Sherry, I think.
no, that's Cherry.
Cherry is Cherry.
That's Junk Chain / Black Magic.
Oh, Tammy. No, her going to see her son in college and then
not wanting him to see who she is on the show because it's such a stereotype.
she gets recognized by a fan, and then he comes to see the show, and she literally gets publicly humiliated in like the worst way in the worst stereotypical way possible. And then in the end, where she says, you know, I'm doing this for you, but, you know, I didn't want you to see it. But he says, you know, you're a badass in the ring, and I love you, and I will support you. And she's like, how'd you learn to do that? And I love it. I chased your ass around for all those years.
Yeah.
A very sweet moment.
Parenting was a really big factor.
Big
you
theme.
because you had Tammy and I can't remember her son's name.
Ernest.
You had Debbie and her son that she is having a really hard time actually being a parent to. Then you have Sam and his
Sam
his daughter.
and
Like, the whole big thing.
Yeah.
But it's... Well, because even they talk about the whole things to talk about after you watch it. They give you, like, these little clips of some of the themes that happened that people, will be talking about or whatever. I also liked it because they focus a lot more on each of the girls specifically. Like, each of the girls had more interplay between each other. Like, obviously, like, the main storyline is still, like, Sam, Ruth, and Debbie and that whole crew. But, like, Arthie and Yo-Yo had their thing. There's so many... The problem with it's such a huge cast that I forget names. The girl that plays Melrose and the Cambodian girl. I can't remember her name. She's Chinese in kayfabe, but she's actually from Cambodia.
I know her working name is Fortune Cookie.
Yeah,
well,
Fortune
yeah,
Cookie.
but she's
Jenny.
not actually Chinese.
Jenny.
Yeah.
They have, like, a little interplay and a friendship and, like, a whole bunch of little relationships crop up between them so that it's, like, it's not just about the core small group that it was the first season, which I really like, that everyone's becoming a little bit more well-rounded.
One of my big kind of issues was you have this. I thought the whole attempted rape thing kind of got thrown to the wayside.
It wasn't okay.
It was really underplayed.
It was. I don't think it was necessarily strictly attempted rape. I don't think that's what it was supposed to come across as.
Either way.
It wasn't attempted rape's the most fun. It was
That's
attempted
fair.
quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Basically, you sleep with me, and I'll make sure your show gets better.
But even then, he never brought it up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, dude clearly, couldn't take a hint.
He's coming on. So the TV executive comes on to Ruth. Ruth leaves, and then the show gets dumped from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Right.
On the network.
My issue was like I never really felt like that part of her relationship with Debbie was resolved, because Debbie basically said, why the fuck didn't you at least do something with him to kind of...
Well, it wasn't resolved. That's why they had that huge, gigantic fight in the hospital.
And Debbie...
there's a fuck ton of unresolved stuff.
There's the undertone there of Debbie, who was a soap opera actress in the 80s, saying, a TV executive wants you to sleep with him.
She didn't say do it. She said, you tell him you have a fiance or you're on your period or... Yeah,
she said, didn't somebody say to her, the one time you wouldn't open...
The one time you don't open your legs, you fucked all of us.
Yeah.
Or you fucked us, or something like that.
Yeah, there's something like that.
God, I wanted to punch Debbie in her fucking face.
Debbie went down a dark road in this season.
She's very dark. She is losing her fucking mind. She,
sold all of her belongings.
It's kind of belated in that maybe, the realization of the divorce finally hit her, that she's stuck there. But you also, the match, she does cocaine at one point.
Yeah.
Right before her match with Ruth, so it's, the classic Zoya versus Liberty Bell, and legit breaks her leg.
Yeah.
Clean fracture right through. And they have this huge blow up in the hospital, and it's like everything that ever went wrong in their friendship, that they've ever held in, comes crashing to the surface. Everyone can hear them just screaming at each other, and that was one of those scenes where it's it's so horrible, it's so terrible. I can't look away. But
I guess we'll put a bow on this. But I think we've kind of covered everything I think we need to cover.
How do you feel about the ending?
I'm super excited. I want to see... I'll get into that here in a second, because I was going to say final grade. But I'm excited. I was okay with the ending. Episode 8, by far, I think my favorite episode of the series, because it was so funny.
It was so much fun.
And the funny thing was, episode 7 is where we had the big blow-up scene in the hospital, and it was a very serious episode with Ruth dealing with the fact, is she going to be able to wrestle again, and all that.
Yeah.
And then in episode 8, it starts out, you're thinking, okay, you're just getting that opening montage, and it took, probably about 10 or 15 minutes into the episode before we finally realized, is this an episode where it's literally just an episode of Glow? And I looked up the episode description, I said, yup, it is literally episode 8. They're literally showing you what an episode of Glow would have looked like, and it's freaking hilarious.
I knew, because I had that spoiled for me, because I saw Darnell's Twitter this morning, because he basically gave all of his thoughts for the season. on his Twitter this morning.
Glad I didn't see his Twitter this morning.
Yeah.
But final thing, I would say, episode 8, favorite episode so far of the entire series.
I don't know what my favorite would be.
Yeah.
But final thought, final grade, Margaret.
Damn, I don't want to like go too far and be like A++. I'll definitely give them an A though. I think the only issue, if I had any issue, would be like there's so many super intense things happening that if you came for the lighthearted glow like episode 8 or like a little bit of what it was in between the some outburst in the season 1, like season 1 had some serious issues, but those were kind of fewer and farther in between, and it wasn't as much about the emotional stuff going on between everyone as it was between getting the show off the ground. This one was much more their personal lives are falling the fuck apart. So it took a little bit of a left turn into darker territory. So that would be like my only thing keeping it from an ultimate A+, was that if they go any more darker beyond that, it's gonna become something else entirely. So maybe either hold where they are or pull back a little bit and space out the insanity for the next one.
Alex?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought they told some good stories, good story arcs. Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of intrigue for next season. It's just everything happens so fast with this show. It's that, and part of it's that it's a season released once a year, and both times we've just binge watched it, so it's kind of like...
It's almost like you shouldn't binge watch it.
It's almost like you shouldn't binge watch it. You're constantly left wanting more. The episodes are so short, though, it's so hard not to binge watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm the type of person that sits down and watches 3 45-minute episodes of The West Wing in one sitting. And sometimes more. Overall, I think I'd say A-. Just because I thought it was a lot happened. A lot of possibilities for next season. I don't really like that they're not going to be on TV next season. I wasn't crazy about the ending. It just felt too easy.
I actually liked that. We didn't really bring that up, did we?
That they're going... Okay, so the ending... Well, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're a fan of the show. We literally
watch
told you
it or
there's
you
spoilers.
don't care.
So, yeah, we literally told you there's a spoiler warning. So, they get... Basically, their network says you can't sell the show to other networks. And there's a guy that steps in that we meet in the later episodes who takes them to Vegas to be the flagship show of a Vegas casino. And it literally leaves off with them all on the bus to Vegas. Leading us essentially into Las Vegas season 3, which I'm assuming that's going to lead to some amazing humor.
Oh yeah.
I also kind of hate that because it's like, unless they're still gonna be on, are they still gonna be on
the network?
Katie,
we don't know. We didn't address that.
Because my thought is that really, if it's just gonna be a Vegas show, because he kind of brought he one of his selling points for the Vegas show was you can do the same show every night.
Yeah.
So at this point now, are we going to lose the
TV side of
The
it?
TV storyline aspect of it, which I think is a big draw.
Yeah.
Well, the other draw could be them trying to get back on TV, because the thing is they can't follow the original projection of the original TV show because they've been done in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
The original, for all that it was groundbreaking and incredibly characteristic and in its own style, wasn't around for too long.
No.
So if they're going to follow that exactly, it'd be 3 years of TV and then the entire show is canceled.
Right, I'm not saying I want them to do that, and I don't want them to do that. But what I'm saying is if they get away from, I think for me, part of the draw is seeing the crossover between what's happening in their real lives and what's happening within their own world of kayfabe. Like, so if we lose that, if they're doing the same show in Vegas every night, are we...
Well, there's no saying that they would do the exact same show.
I will...
But they're not doing storylines. They have a totally different audience every night. They don't have TV.
Yeah.
No, you don't know that because they have the same people that come back and back again and again and again.
Not usually in Las Vegas.
But no.
Yeah, they can build up.
And who knows? But I say I will give the show a solid A. I've enjoyed this, like I said, just as much as season 1. Mark Maron is amazing. I love him. The cast is just a great ensemble. They're excellent. So much funny drama. It's a really great show. It's a really easy watch if you're listening and you haven't watched this, even though we just spoiled the entire season for you. Go back, take a look at it.
Watch it anyways.
Watch it anyway. The girls are not if you're a guy out there, hey, I'll say it. The girls aren't bad to look at, especially Britannia.
The scene with Yo-Yo wearing virtually nothing,
yeah.
And the strip club. Then there's this scene where you basically see side boob, if not full on boob.
I think
Debbie.
You pretty much see all of Liberty Bell at one point.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she's artfully turned to the side, but you basically see everything.
There's a few scenes with.
Is this really how we're gonna do our fucking final set of the show?
Hey, it's my portion. There's more than one scene with Britannica not wearing very much clothing, which I enjoyed.
Regal has a weakness for redheads.
She's redheaded. She's British. She's hot.
Wait, Brits are your thing?
She's British. British is bonus points.
Oh.
I like Emma Watson.
True.
I like Gemma Simmons from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So British is bonus points. But yeah, she's hot. I love her. Anyway, I would have stepped up to marry her if she needed me.
I'm sure you would have. I'm sure a lot of men would have.
That's Glow Season 2. That's Ring of Honor. That's CEO / New Japan. What do we got next week? Final preparations. Alex may not have a head on his shoulders in final preparations for the wedding. We don't know. Margaret might be ready to kill people. We don't know. But we'll talk wrestling. We'll talk whatever. Alex, unfortunately, will not let me do a podcast at the wedding.
No. What the fuck is wrong?
See, I told you.
I wanted to try.
He wanted him and
I didn't think he was serious.
He goes, well, Tony and Conrad did one. I was like, neither Tony nor Conrad were getting married at the podcast where Tony and Conrad did a wedding.
I was only half serious, but
you were half serious.
Yeah. Folks, follow us on Twitter at SlamFamWrestle. Follow me at SCBRegal4.
Right.
Okay, what? Okay.
SlamFamRest on Twitter.
SlamFam WREST. Follow me on Twitter at SCBRegal444. Alex is at OneRealSmartAlex. The lovely Margaret is at Bells in a Cell. Check out Slam Fam Wrestling on Facebook, Slam Fam Wrestling on Instagram. We will see you. We'll be back next week. We don't have anything going on much in July except for your wedding. So
yeah, nothing going on. It's fine, easy month.
I meant wrestling wise, but
so we have the SCW show the week after.
And there's also a 3XW show the night before our wedding.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're not attending that.
No.
Okay, so
you have to go in my place.
I have to go.
Or in my place.
I'm leading the 7-Star Mind Academy.
Todd wants.
Or in my place, they might need commentary.
Todd wants you to dress up like me.
I'm the substitute teacher, Mr. Regal, for the 7-Star Mind Academy.
Oh my god!
You should have a substitute teacher.
That would actually be a hilarious gimmick. But folks, thank you guys for joining. I know we went a little long this week. We had a lot to talk about. But,
how long did we go?
We're an hour 38 right now. So
that's not bad.
Folks,
I'm never letting you run the equipment again.
We'll see you at the show. Do I just hit this yellow stop button?
No, you hit the red.
Hit the red record button again?
Yeah. Either or.
It's still recording.
Hit the stop button.
Okay. Still recording.